Good evening, you're listening to Drive on talkSPORT, Adi Oladipo, Gabby Bonlaw. Don't forget, if you fancy something a bit different to talkSPORT in the morning, you can listen to the Chris Evans Breakfast Show on Virgin Radio every day from 6:30 a.m. This one, yeah, this.
Cure the cause.
This is. Can you give it a go? Go on, give it a bit of a blast.
This was my days. These were.
This is when Gabby used to pop the champagne.
This was my days. West End, London, out. I'm out after the game. Let's go.
Regardless of win or lose.
Only if we won, of course. A draw, maybe. But this was funky house era, mate.
This was
funky
incredible.
house.
This is the track of all tracks.
But you go to the club, everyone knows all the words.
One more blast, go on, one more blast.
Come on. Ooh. What a tune.
Yeah. Honestly, massive track. All right, from now until the start of the Premier League season, which is just 17 Drive shows away. Drive heading around the league for a deep dive into every Premier League's team's preparations. So now it's time to spin the Drive roulette to find out who we're talking about today. Here we go. It's coming.
This was the casino. I'll pass out by now, waiting for my numbers to come up. I'll be like, 11, 30, 26.
Yeah, just 17 Drive shows until the football season returns. Our new feature, Drive Premier League Roulette, sees us focus on one team ahead of the campaign. And today, we've landed on Spurs. So let's welcome in Chris Cowlin, a host of the Spurs Chat podcast. Chris, always great to speak to you, my man.
Good evening, Chris.
Adi, Gabby, thanks for having me on. Pleasure to be here. How are you?
Not bad at all, not bad at all. How are you, Chris? Seasons now, as we say, 17 Drive shows until you get underway. You've made a few moves in the transfer window. Not enough, though, yet, I'm guessing.
Not enough yet. Of course, Postecoglou speaks extremely high and he wants to take the club to the next level. We're doing, some great business in terms of young, talented players for the future. But, of course, we need that fine mix of experienced players to come through the door as well. I'm not too disappointed as yet because there is 37 days left of the transfer window. And it is fair to say that Postecoglou has been backed by the board in his first 12 months at the football club. And he is heavily focused on getting a number of players out the door as well, because he did walk into a bit of a mess 12 months ago. He's done a good job so far. He's got us back into playing European football. And as I said, he's got a number of players out the door. But it is absolutely imperative that we go out and sign a striker and go out and have a couple of statement signings in this window to take us to that next level, because he has said on a number of occasions throughout his first 12 months at the club so far that he's not interested in fifth, fourth, third or second. He wants to be number one. And we know, it pains me to say this, we know that there is a massive gap right now between Spurs and our North London rivals Arsenal and, of course, Liverpool, Manchester City. There are so many clubs ahead of us in terms of, top players. But Spurs are doing things the right way. Postecoglou has been backed. But as I say, it's absolutely imperative that we go out and sign a striker and improve in that final third in his second season in charge.
I think that's big, isn't it, Chris, when you look at Spurs? Because if you named their best 11, you'd say, okay, maybe that can get results apart from maybe setting a forward. But it's like you look at the bench and you're like, who can you bring on? And last season, you're looking at Lo Celso, Brian Gill, and you're like, it's not enough, is it, mate? The competition to get into the top four now as well. Spurs, for me, need another right side player, left-footed right side player. Kulusevski's too slow for me on the ball. You need a striker. Ivan Toney, I'll go out and get straight away. And you've just lost Højbjerg to Marseille, another second midfielder as well.
Yeah, of course. Postecoglou had a lot of work to do. He's still got a lot of work to do. The rebuild is still continuing. But the club do need to back him in the next 37 days or so and go out and get a couple of experienced Premier League players in my opinion, to take us to that next level. And as you said, there's going to be teams behind us that finish behind us in the Premier League table that are going to improve. Of course, the teams above us in the table, they're going to improve as well. So it is constantly about improving. I know fans hate to hear that word patience, but I think we need to be patient with the manager. I know some fans have been extremely disappointed in the fact that we have gone round in circles since going to that Champions League final in 2019, we've gone through so many different managers, a couple of win now managers. We've gone out and spent money. Sometimes it's not all about going to spend big money. It is about recruitment and going to find the right players. In the 2 transfer windows under Postecoglou so far, they have been impressive. They have been players that he has wanted in rather than, going down the route of club signings. But I completely agree, Gabby. We do need to improve in that final third. We do need depth on the bench. But Postecoglou, in my opinion, has done a good job. He's cleared out a number of players. Last summer, of course, Harry Kane left, where all of the Spurs fans were very disappointed. But clearing out players like Hugo Lloris that have been there for a long time, Harry Winks, players like that. You've only got to look at the outgoings in the last couple of months: Højbjerg, Roden, Perisic, Dyer, Ndombele, Tanganga, Sessegnon. So a lot of players have gone out the door, but it is now time for the players to come through the door.
And the board should back him as well, isn't it? Not just because obviously you've got to back a new manager if you want to see progress, but when he has gone into the transfer market, he's done well. I mean, I think Van der Ven, one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League. He's fantastic, isn't he? And Maddison, let's not forget Maddison's early season form before he got injured. He was a shoo-in for the Euros, shoo-in for probably Player of the Year, and then he got injured, then obviously it came off a little bit. So, he's good in the market as well, is Postecoglou at spotting talent.
Absolutely, Addy. And, I've said this before on talkSPORT that, the likes of Vicario, Udogie, Van der Ven, not many people in England knew of these players. So when I talk about recruitment, in the last 12 months, 18 months or so, the club have been bang on it in terms of recruitment. But a lot has changed, not only on the pitch, but off the pitch as well, in terms of, personnel coming in and changing at the football club. So, Spurs are on the up. But I think there are some fans very nervous at the moment because everyone expected a huge window in terms of statement signings, in terms of, a number of signings to come through the door. I think that Postecoglou has come out and said a number of times that he wants players early. In an ideal world, they would have got on the plane to Japan and South Korea. But if we sign players in the next week or so, then obviously they can fly out and join the squad out there. But, the Euros, Copa America, it's obviously going to delay a few things, but the Spurs fans, there is a big expectation right now for moving the club on and doing big things, particularly when Postecoglou has come out and said a number of times, particularly some of the players as well, they've said next season is the one. And all Celtic fans keep telling me the second season you will see Spurs really kick on like we did, and we're expecting big things at the club.
Chris, what I would say, though, is that last season, the start of the season, Spurs were outstanding, top of the table. But what they did wrong as a group of players was some of the celebrations after games, especially at home, linking hands and running to one end of the ground. And it was like...
I don't agree.
Yeah,
I don't agree, Gabby.
I just feel like that's the problem, though, because then it's too early to be celebrating like that for me.
No. It wasn't celebrating. It was more celebrating the fact that the team had changed, the style of football had changed, the mentality had changed. I think that you've picked that up completely wrong. It wasn't about beating Sheffield United last minute. It wasn't about us celebrating because we're beating Sheffield United. It was the way that we'd done it. There were even celebrations when Spurs lost 4-1 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium against Chelsea because we realised that a style of play had changed. We've been through managers like Jose Mourinho, Antonio Conte, win-now managers, been very successful everywhere they've gone. Sadly, it didn't work out at Tottenham, but it was a different style of football. Spurs fans have been excited to go to the stadium. You sell, the club now sell tickets. They sell out within minutes because everyone wants to go and watch. And that is the difference, the main difference last season.
Chris, as always, my man, appreciate you coming on. Thank you very, very much.
Thanks, Chris.
Chris Cowlin, the host of the Spurs Chat podcast. All right, let's look into players that were mile off it last season.
I do feel like, I hear what he's saying, but when you hear all other fan bases, we can see other teams doing that. Aston Villa had a great start.
Remember when Thingy did it? Klopp did it. I think it might have been against Sheffield United. I think we got a draw. I've seen it with West Brom.
Yeah, but
it was West Brom, wasn't it? And he kind of got all the players to kind of do that as well.
Yeah, but he just felt like Spurs won the league in in September, October. Yeah. It was a bit over the top for me. All four celebrating wins, yes, but the linking arms and I think they were getting Richarlison to come as well, and it was like
he was quite hesitant to do it. I remember seeing it.
Man City and Pep and that lot. It's a 38-game season, guys. It's not 10 games. Where are you going to be at the end of the season?
My fear for Spurs
on
as
Champions
well
League?
is you mentioned all the players they got rid of. they've got European football now. They didn't have it last season.
Exactly.
Let's see how they juggle that as well now. It's going to be very difficult because the squad's just not big enough.
The league's not won in September or October.
Yeah, certainly
Spurs.
But it can be lost in September and October, I think. All right, miles off it. Last season, so many players, but you've chosen 5?
Yes, I have.
Go on then, who's your first?
So, number 1, vice-captain for the miles off it team, 5-a-side team, is Mudryk.
Wow.
The problem
he was more than miles off it.